This, right now, is the best VHF, UHF, budget, wallet-friendly, handy-talkie, walkie-talkie, call it what you will, that you can buy right now. Forget all of the other brands, your so-called cheap Chinese handy-talkies. Right now you want this, and it is the Tidradio TD-H3, and I'm going to explain why. Bit of a caveat before we start this. As always, I am a licensed ham radio operator here in the UK. As such, I will use this radio within the limitations of my license conditions, but as part of this presentation to you, I am going to show you what it is capable of, not necessarily what you should be doing with it. But with that out of the way, let's have a look at what you get in the box. This was sent to me by Tidradio for the purposes of review and consultation on things that can be improved or things that I like about the radio. And I will say right now, in terms of customer services, Tidradio have been the best that I have dealt with so far. Absolutely, hands down, brilliant customer service. And their technical support team are excellent as well, but we'll get into that a little bit more as we get on with the actual looking at this. So TD-H3, inside the box you will get a manual, you get a nice little card, customer services and support. We have a charging cradle, we have a battery, we have a USB-C to USB lead, and also they supplied me with a UK 3-pin mains adapter for that as well. You probably get whatever's relevant for your particular country. The antenna, which is a VHF and UHF antenna. The battery itself, as you can see on the bottom, has a Type-C charging port. Brilliant, because you can plug the battery in without having to be on the radio, and it will charge using USB Type-C. The radio itself is, when you get these together, I mean, listen to the click. It's solid, and it weighs a lot more than you would expect. Now, call me old-fashioned, but when things weigh a lot, that screams good quality to me. But obviously, we'll get more into that. We have a belt clip as well with 2 screws supplied. You can see actually that the screws are on the battery and not on the radio. That's fine. If you get another battery, just make sure you get another belt clip with it. If you need to use a belt clip, just save you taking it off one and onto the other. Let's put the antenna on. And I'll just close this box just so everything's a little bit... By the way, the manual, written in really good English, really easy to understand, and everything's explained very well, which is an absolute bonus for me. Okay, here's the radio. Let's have a look around it. So on the side here, we can see we've got 3 buttons. We've got 2 push-to-talk buttons. So you can have dual monitor on this radio. You can be listening to 2 frequencies at the same time. You can also transmit on both of those frequencies if they're transmittable on, if that makes sense. So if you're listening to something on VHF and something on UHF within your band limitations, depending on which, top VFO, use the top button, bottom VFO, use the bottom BM button, absolutely fine. Bottom button right down here, that puts the torch on. Let's have a look, see how bright that torch is. Oh, yeah, it's a good torch. Press it again, yep, flashing, press it again, goes off. On the front of the radio, you can see we've got a very clear screen. The primary frequency is displayed up here, but you can see that VFO-A and VFO-B, the 2 frequencies that you're listening to, they are displayed at the bottom. You can also set that to be in numerical display, or if you've got it saved as a memory, it will actually show you the name that you've got it saved under. So the VMs, which is VFO and memory button, if I press that, you can see that this has changed to GB3HD, which is the name of the repeater that's programmed into memory channel 1. Come out of it again. If this screen is a little bit busy for you, I'll show you a way to alter that. But before we do, icons, you can see a bar here for reception power. I'd like to say that it's an S meter, but it's not really. It's like the digital equivalent of an S meter. Battery percentage is up here, or sorry, your battery bars. You can see that it's fully charged at the moment. It's on high power and in wide band mode, so I think that's 25 kilohertz, which is fine for that repeater. That's why it's set that way. And you can see that channel 001 is displayed. If that screen is a little bit busy for you, what we can do is we can go the blue button here, press it, menu 36, press the menu button again, we change it to off and press it again, and if we come out of that, you can see that you've got a much simplified screen now. So basically what's happened there is it's turned off dual watch, which is where you can listen to two frequencies at the same time, and now just gives you your primary information on there. What I like about this is that it gives you the name and the frequency. So I can see that it's the GB3HD repeater, and the receive channel is set to 433.225. If I press the push to talk button now, you'll see that frequency change because there's an offset saved. Ready? There you go, 434.825, and back to its receive frequency. I'm just going to switch this back to turn sync on, which is your option for the dual watch mode, and set that and come back out, and you can see we're back to the screen that we saw at the start. Continuing to look around the radio, you see this button's blue. I'll get onto that in a minute, I'll come back to it. VM is to switch between your VFO and memory modes, as we've already explained. And on the side here you can see that we've got the standard flap. Up at the top we have the two ports for the Kenwood K1 type adapter, which is this thing. We use this for programming on a lot of these handheld radios. But you can also see that there's a USB-C port here as well, which is part of the radio and not part of the battery like this. There's a good reason for that. If you don't have one of these leads, and believe me, they are troublesome and a nightmare, you can program your radio using software with a USB. So USB-C here, USB standard connection to your computer, and using either Chirp, the Tidradio software, or however you want to do it, you can program the radio using that. You no longer need a K1 adapter. As for programming, this is one of the things that makes this radio stand out from every other radio that I've reviewed and looked at so far in this particular price range, and that is that the blue button here, if you press and hold it and watch here, you can see that a Bluetooth symbol has appeared. The Bluetooth symbol allows this radio to connect to your smartphone using the OD Master app. You can program your radio without having to have any connections in place whatsoever. So not only can we program the radio manually using the menus, we can do it using the Kenwood K1 adapter into your computer, or the USB-C adapter into your computer. And as I'm talking now, you will see some screenshots, some B-roll of the OD Master app, which you can download onto your phone and use to program your radio using Bluetooth and no wires at all. Absolutely superb. I've not seen anything like this in this price range of radio before. Okay, so let's talk about the radio itself. When you get it out of the box, depending on what box you ticked when you order it, it will be either in ham, GMRS or fully unlocked mode. Now, in order to demonstrate that for you, I'm going to show you how you can switch between those modes. Remember, stay within your license limitations when doing this. But if I press the push to talk button, the star key, and turn it on, you now see that we have a menu here that says ham, GMRS or normal. Select option 1, 2 or 3 on the keypad for your particular preference. I'd be using the ham. You may use GMRS. Normal basically unlocks this radio completely. It's completely unlocked to a huge range of frequencies. Now, I'm just going to pull my piece of paper out here because I'll go through these with you. This is the crib sheet that was sent with the radio. So, if you've got the latest firmware upgrade on this radio, you will have, let's go through them. So AM, airband, you can listen to 108 megahertz to 136 megahertz, that's the airband. FM, you can, and this is receive only by the way on AM, obviously. On FM, 50 to 76 megahertz receive only, 76 to 108 megahertz receive only. They're your commercial radio stations, so to speak. UHF, which is your 70 centimeter band, you can transmit and receive between 400 and 470 megahertz, and receive only from 470 up to 600 megahertz. VHF, so that's your 2 meter band if you're a ham band operator. You can transmit and receive from 136 to 174 megahertz. From 174 right up to 400 megahertz, you can set it as a receive only. Now, this is where TID Radio come into their own. There has been an update now to the firmware. and I will enclose links, and I'll probably put a screenshot on now showing you some of the firmware upgrade screens that you see when you're doing this. If you are to upgrade the firmware, you will need the Kenwood K1 adapter. Unfortunately, if you haven't got one, get yourself one of these, because it's well worth doing the firmware upgrades. Again, every other company that I've dealt with in the past, and we all know the ones that I'm talking about, with the cheap Chinese handheld, as people want to call them, they don't update the firmwares. There's no customer service, you can't speak to technical or anything like that. Tidradio are a breath of fresh air. Everything they do in terms of these radios is designed to be customer focused, and if you've got a suggestion or you want something changing, absolutely, they will do that for you. And I'm going to prove that right now. So the first firmware upgrade that came out, initially, let's treat this as a scanner. Okay, so initially when this radio came out, you could scan anywhere from 50 megahertz, which is, you know, very low down in the bands, all the way up to the 400 megahertz bands, way beyond the 2 meter band. When the firmware upgrade came out, they left a note to say basically, we've now changed this so that you can listen to, you can start listening on scanning from 27 megahertz. 27 megahertz is kind of down in the UK CB-FM band, and 28 megahertz is in the, you can get onto the 10 meter FM ham bands as well. Just to show you, if I was to put a frequency in here now, so let's say 027 000, that will go in. We're now in the 27 megahertz band, so we can actually start listening to UK CB-FM, or so I thought, because then it got a bit complicated. As you can see, I can only enter 6 digits, so 027 000. Can't get the specific 40 channels that the UK CB-FM band operates on. Now, I'm just going to stop the video there while I bring up those, and I shall go through them and explain why. Okay, bit of a jump cut there, unfortunately, because I had to go back and look up what the UKCB frequencies were, and here's what I was trying to explain just now. So we can only input 6 digits, or we could only on the initial firmware upgrade. So the UKCB bands start, channel 1 is 27.60125 megahertz, and it goes up in 10 kilohertz steps. Now you can see that it's 60125, and I couldn't enter that, so I was sent to, I literally sent an email off to Tidradio, and within 48 hours they sent me an email back and said, right, okay, this is what we can do for you. Here's a firmware upgrade, which basically gives you the option to do that in the CB band frequencies. And I thought, right, okay, well, I did the upgrade, and I thought, let's see what happens. So if I actually type in now the first channel 1, so we have to put 027 601. Can you see what it's done? They've actually put the 25 on the end, so you're actually on band there. So channel 1 for the UK CB frequencies can now be entered in that, because they got back to me within 48 hours with a firmware upgrade, which I think is just astonishing. If you wanted to listen to the UKCB frequencies, channel 1 starts on 27.60125. What you need to do is just go to menu, and you want to set your step size to 10 kilohertz. Okay, and because the channels are 10 kilohertz apart, so once you've done that, channel 1 is 27.60125. Press the up arrow to go to channel 2. 61125, channel 3, 62125, and so on, all the way up. Now, something that people popularly listen to is channel 19, which is 78125, and as you see, we can quite easily just go to, there you go, 27.78125. We now have a sub £30 handheld radio that can listen to UK FM CB, all because they listened and sent a firmware upgrade out. It's absolutely astonishing. There are a couple of other things that I want to talk about. So if you like listening to airband, which is the frequencies the air aviation services transmit on, it's on AM. This is an FM radio, but as you know, it's kind of popular at the moment. They have a setting in here which will allow you to listen to airband. Now, to do that, you need to first of all activate it. So to turn airband on, we go to menu and select option 58. Oops, I did that wrong. So menu 58. Oh, it's not going to let me do it. Right, come on, out.
Menu.
I think it's 58. Is it 58? No, right, we're going to have to do this now. Ah, 48, my apologies. Menu option 48, which is the AM band, and you can switch that on or off by pressing menu up and down arrows to set on, and then menu again to lock it in. I know why it wasn't doing that now. It's because I'm in the section, the CB section of the 27 megahertz band. So if I just put in a
450.
just put a different frequency in now, if I type in 48, it takes you to airband. There you go. Just remember, if you're doing something that's slightly out of the normal on this, just go back to a standard transmit receive frequency. Another thing that this radio has, which I don't think a lot of, well, I don't think I've seen it in these sort of sub £40, £30 radios, is there's a mic gain option, and it's option 45. Mic gain, best way to explain it is just to say that if you can imagine, it's giving the mic a boost before it transmits it, and not just boosting your entire transmission. It's giving a bit of extra power to your mic. If you're in a very noisy environment, you might want a bit of mic gain. The best way to set your mic gain, to be honest with you, is to have somebody else listening and tell you whether or not it's better or worse. Mic gain is option 45. It's currently set to 6 on this particular radio. I haven't really played with it much, but it's, you know, it's okay. I have nothing either negative or positive to say about it, but it's a nice feature to have on there. What a superb radio. I know I've rushed through this, I've gone a million miles an hour, and the reason that I've done that is simply because I want to give you the, you know, the whistle stop tour of what I think is a fantastic piece of equipment. But more than anything, I'm going to get onto the bit now that you're really interested in, which is seeing this radio in action, and we're going to try and catch some CB. I'm not sure whether we will or not. I don't live particularly near a highway or a motorway, so I might not get anything. We're definitely going to listen to some airband, and we're definitely going to listen to some VHF and UHF transmissions on here. Tidradio, what a fantastic company, really. I mean, to send them an email and then to send you in a return email a firmware patch so that you can do something that you wanted to do, I've never seen another company in this kind of range, in this budget, who've been able to do that and have that level of customer service. If you want one of these radios, I honestly would recommend getting one right now, because they're getting popular every day, more and more popular. In the description, the first link that you will see is an affiliate link to Tidradio to buy this. Do it through that affiliate link, and it helps me and my channel out. But if you use the coupon code Mike7 Echo Uniform Papa M7EUP, which is also in the description, you'll get 10% off at the checkout. Right, enough waffling from me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this, I'm going to get out there, and I'm going to actually start using it so that you can see and hear how it sounds and what this thing's actually capable of. Thanks very much for listening. I know it's been a whistle stop as usual. I understand I make quite rubbish videos. It's not my forte. It's not what I do for a living. There are much better people than this doing it. I just wanted to share my experiences with you. Finally, what I will say is that this is a 5-watt radio. The 5-watt is a legitimate 5 watts as well. On VHF and UHF, you are getting the full 5 watts. The power is dialed back a little bit for GMRS to keep it legal within the United States, because GMRS have their own power requirements. But all of my tests, all across the bands, I'm getting the full 5 watts on the ham bands, as I would call them. Right, that's it. I'm going to go out and get started using this radio. Thanks very much for watching. It's been a pleasure, as usual, talking to you. Please remember to like and subscribe. It helps me, it helps the channel. Go get one of these. Honestly, it's an investment that's definitely worth your while and better than anything else that's out on the market at the moment. Use the link that's in the description to help the channel out, and use the code M7EUP to get 10% off. Right, let's get outside.